For the second race of the season, we all get to experience a new track added in last month's iRacing Season 4 build, and that is Weedsport Speedway. Welcome to the second race of the Dirt Street Stock Series hosted by the Bootleg Racing League here on the Global SimRacing Channel. I'm Gary Weaver alongside DJ Clark with Sean Ambrose in the director's booth, who's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Now, Weedsport Speedway is quite an interesting track, and we'll talk more in depth about this track here in just a few moments. But in the meantime, DJ, well, you have the graphic. Take it away.
Well, as you can see here, Weedsport is a let me try that again. It's a 3/8 of a mile track here, located in virtual upstate New York. It is, as you said, one of the new tracks here on the iRacing service, and it is absolutely spectacular. And it is utterly unique. It is tight turning, and each and every corner is a little bit different. And as our director is just telling us, we actually have a video to run you through some of the ins and outs here at this wonderful new track, so we're going to throw to that right now.
Welcome to the Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds and home to Weedsport Speedway. Located only about 60 miles from another famous New York track, Watkins Glen, and a stone's throw away from Lake Ontario, this place puts on a lot of action in the dirt variety. This 3/8 of a mile clay surface oval is unique because of its shape. The front straightaway is straight, but outside of that, this place is totally asymmetrical. Heading into one, many guys will make a sharp apex, swing out, and then apex again for turn 2. It's not the sweeping corner that it looks like from a track map. The exit of 2 leads onto the curved backstretch that gives the speedway a D shape. But the backstretch blends into turn 3, and it's not nearly as sharp as an entry as 1. But you head off into 4 and get another apex that'll set you up for the front stretch. A lot of driving happens at 3/8 of a mile. In 1975, Weedsport's then owner founded what has become the Dirt Car Series, and Weedsport was its home. So it is more known for stock car and modified racing, but those sprints appear here as well. In fact, both USAC and World of Outlaws sprint cars make regular trips, but those big block modifieds are king here. But it is a weekly track, so you have your usual complement of local modified, stocks, and other classes. Don't let the only 11 degrees of banking in the sharper corners here fool you. This place is fast and action-packed. Now it's time to see who will rise above at Weedsport here on GSRC.
And that is our GSRC lap guide for Weedsport Speedway, where, well, we did have it luckily, so great job to DJ for giving us a little bit of information as well before we got into it. And, well, we'll head to our race info as well going into tonight, where it is round number 2 for tonight's race of 11 here at Weedsport Speedway in the Dirt Street Stocks as usual. Everyone running the iRacing fixed setup, so everyone's all on the same setup. One fast pair is available, and, well, 24 cars now will make it to the feature, which will be at 40 laps. So that's going to be something to look out for, and we'll see how that affects the tracks as well going forward into these next few races of the season. And, well, going to the championship standings now, DJ, take it away with your top 5.
Well, after that dominant performance last week at Eldora, Brandon Proudfoot sits right on top of those standings with 84 points. Behind him, only 9 points back is Steven Spees, and only 11 points back of Brandon Proudfoot, and 2 behind him is Bobby Rafferty. Those 3 guys, they're really gunning, and don't look too hard, but John Hine is right behind them with only 13 points back, and only 3 back of him is Aiden Young, and that tightness continues all the way down. As you can imagine, we've only had 1 race, but that really does show the level of competition we have in this BRL Street Stock Series. It is going to be anybody's race every week.
And definitely will be anybody's race. It's something to very much keep an eye on. So heading into tonight, well, actually before that, well, we'll go ahead and give a shout out to the sponsors for tonight, starting off with Jim Beaver eSports, where tonight's heat races are brought to you by, well, Jim Beaver eSports. the official esports team of Jim Beaver and the General Tire Down and Dirty Show, powered by Polaris Racer. You can follow the team at jimbeaveresports.com or on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to keep up with their drivers in iRacing World Championships, private leagues, and more. And of course, as per usual, great shout out to the Cruise Shop, where they have been in operation since 1986. They're a team of highly experienced travel agents that have a huge passion for travel. They specialize in cruises, all-inclusive resorts, escorted tours, Disney and family travel, groups, honeymoons, and weddings. They would also love the opportunity to help you plan your next vacation. You can give them a call today at 260-755-6125, or you can visit thecruiseshopfw.com. The Cruise Shop is dedicated to fulfilling their clients' dreams, one destination at a time. And right now, just about 4 minutes remaining in the warm-up, and, well, Bobby Rafferty, well, lo and behold, is up top of the timing charts, DJ.
He is indeed sitting there with about a 118 dead, or it's not a 118, an 18 dead, an 18.044 is his fastest lap of the race. Ron Snyder just behind him with an 074, and Chris Davis sitting in third with an 077. It's going to be really hard for these guys to truly master this track here tonight. As we've said a couple of times, this is the new kid in town, so not as much running as everybody would like to have. And furthermore, in these heavy, heavy cars like these dirt street stocks, it is incredibly difficult to fling them around this track, specifically coming into turn one. Turn one is super, super tight. As you can watch them here, these guys going side by side. You've really got to lay on the brakes to get that car to swing around the corner and really, really make it work. Turn two opens up. It's a little bit easier of a corner. Then you go into turn three, and it's going to reverse on that. Turn three is nice and wide and sweeping. You come back through turn four, and it tightens up on you. You've really got to master just when to push the throttle down. So it's really going to reward the best drivers in the series here tonight.
And you see they're just off. Well, actually, this is actually turn number 4 here that we are currently looking at. And yeah, I've also done a couple practice laps here. Going towards the inside wall is quite scary, to be honest. And, well, luckily we do actually have a camera shot here just to see, well, how far away, at least on the entry of turn 1, they are at the moment. But yeah, turn 1 it seems very sharp and narrow, and then it opens just up wide off turn number 2. So that's, from my experience, something that's throwing me off just a little bit, because I was thinking, well, it's going to be the same all around, right? And then a few laps in, I realized, oh, wait, hold on, this is completely different. So Weedsport is a very interesting track. Going towards the inside wall, as we see just how wide turn number 2 is here from this camera angle. Well, the entry to turn 1 and, well, the entry to turn 3, well, unfortunately demonstrated there by the 3. Well, you can see there that inside wall is not the most friendly.
No, it's not, and I think we're definitely going to, unfortunately, take use of that camera angle into turn 4. I think he's not going to be the only one here tonight hitting out on the outside wall as we now watch Robbie Robinson putting in some practice laps. The other thing to keep in mind with this is that this is not a track like Eldora where we were able to run 3, almost 4 wide. I think at maximum you're going to see about a 2 wide race developing here. You've got to be a lot more selective on when you're going to make your passes, because if you try to dive on the outside or really push it on or dive down the inside and really push it on the outside, that could come back to bite you if you lose momentum, and you could lose 3-4 positions in the course of a lap or 2 if you're not careful.
And those positions will be key going into tonight, of course, especially with how points are handed out throughout all of the events, essentially, all throughout tonight. So that includes qualifying, the heats, and the B main, and of course the feature as well. As, well, taking it back into pit road, it's going to be Robbie Robinson. And another thing as well is that the heats are actually not inverted, so it's going to be how it is. So heats will not be inverted. It's still going to be 6 cars, top 3 transfer, just no inverts at all for tonight.
It's really going to put the impetus on the drivers once we get qualifying going, that you're going to want to be at the sharp end of the field here at Weedsport. Just minimize any ability for somebody to cause a wreck in front of you and wipe you out, anything like that, as we've seen a couple of times in the course of last week's race at Eldora or at other races during the course of the BRL Street Stock Series, that you can kind of have these mini big ones in these street stocks. It's not exactly the most uncommon thing in the world.
Yeah, not exactly the most uncommon thing. 20 seconds and counting down before warm-up ends. Great camera shot here, thanks to Dougie Beer. It's absolutely incredible to actually see this and how much essentially banking there is, because I believe, if I remember correctly, this should be actually turn 4, and lo and behold, it is. So you see that flat bit right there, and then it just dips down. Well, that's the pit entry. So checkered flag flies here for the warm-up session, as the 07 takes it back into pit road as well. And we'll see what these drivers have to have in store across these 4 laps and 5 minutes of qualifying.
It'll be a great show, and it'll also put on display one of the new features at Weedsport. The only other track like it is, oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the name. The most recent dirt track that they put in, but they actually have an outside pit entry here, which is very common for a lot of series. And these guys entering the track from the outside, as you can see them starting to level in.
Yeah, so of course, that first lap, the moment they come off pit road, it will, of course, not count as of yet. So we'll have to wait for these drivers to get themselves warmed up as well. Warmed up enough is going to be Steve Rada in this number 3 machine. He's already down in the way, a very wide corner entry, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be something that catches everybody off guard here for turn number 1 going into tonight.
Yeah, it's certainly going to throw more than a few people off as Bobby Rafferty jumps up to the top of the scoring charts there with a 18.07. John Hine behind him with an 18.1, and John Wilson behind them with an 18.5. So pretty big split on the field thus far. We'll have to see how everything shakes out.
Steve Rada did make contact with the outside wall there, so that will not be, or this lap will not be valid as he crosses the start-finish line. He does have 2 more attempts this lap and his next lap, and make that just his next lap as he hits the outside wall again, unfortunately. Chris Davis in the 07 starting to make his rounds here, actually having 2 laps left. Currently sitting on the podium position as Rafferty goes faster once again at 17.981. I think Davis is going to be taking it back to pit road. So we'll take a look at Ron Snyder making his rounds.
Snyder diving in that tricky turn 1. I think for Davis, he may just be parking it for a little while, maybe seeing if the track's going to develop over the course of these next 3 minutes and take a wild shot there. Is there you see Snyder coming through that open turn 3 and into that tightening turn 4. Really well held there, able to keep that slide all the way around. He's only going to get up to a 18.5, not nearly good enough for him as we come on one of the championship contenders here, Steven Spies.
55 of Spies will be making his way through turns 3 and 4. 2 laps left in his qualifying run, so we'll see what he's got left. The lap times seem to be a little bit varying, almost quite wildly in a sense. An 18.0 for Steven Spies was his fastest. His last lap was an 18.199. This time it's an 18.292, and this is his last attempt. So Kenny Kibbe as well, essentially probably an underdog of sorts, as he's just been hovering around the top 5, taking a look at Brendan Proudfoot with last week's winner, currently 1/1000th of a second off of Bobby Rafferty's pole time. This is his last shot.
He's going to be really pushing it here, going to drive that corner hard, coming through 3, tightening up through 4. He's got good power down on the line. I don't think that's going to be good enough. It is not. Only an 18.041. His 17.982 going to be the fastest lap for him, so he will be starting in second behind Bobby Rafferty as we follow one of the stalwarts in this series, J.R. Shepard, now seeing what he can do.
J.R. Shepard actually completing his lap time, so he'll, at the moment, be starting in 6th place. Actually, the 07 Steve Rada back out on track doing his final lap on the back straightaway.
He is. He's going to be trying to do something as we watch Shepard here. There's Rada. Actually, he's parked in the car, I think, as we're now it's Clyde Davis coming around trying to get that time down with an 18.4. That's not going to be an improvement for him. His best time standing at that 18.15. I think that is going to tap him out on laps. So Davis is done. Just getting a little practice here, trying to feel out the car. And here comes Justin Morton, the Plains driver, seeing if he can do. He's the last one with anything to go. He's going to cross the line, not faster than his fastest. That's going to leave him in 4th place. He will be starting P1 for the 4th heat, though, so good for Morton.
So close yet so far, 3/100ths of a second off of his fastest lap time. If he was better by about 4/100ths, he probably would have just beaten Steven Spies. And well, that looks to be it, as apparently Steve Rada will not be making a final attempt, it looks like. So 40 seconds left. The qualifying has been set. Everyone's gotten their points for that. So essentially, we'll see how everything sorts itself out. But the moment. Bobby Rafferty has closed the gap for the time being between himself and Brandon Proudfoot, but Steven Speeds is also there in that third place position, just sitting there lurking behind in the points.
Yeah, that top four all separated by less than a tenth of a second, so that's going to be an incredible battle to watch as we get into the A main. Now, 21 drivers here tonight, so that means we are not going to have any bumping, but our B main will figure out how the back of the field qualifies. Obviously, once we get into these heat races, top three will auto advance to the A main.
Qualifying has come to an end. And now we go to the first of 4 heat races for tonight. 6 laps, top 3 go to the feature, and everyone else will go into the B main to sort themselves out to see where everyone goes for the feature event. So, starting grid for heat race number 1, as you see in the top left, is Bobby Rafferty in first, John Hine second. Daniel Vaught will be third. 4th place is Jeff Sharp. 5th place, Austin Belke. And 6th place is Steve Rada.
I think this is really going to be a battle at the front end of the field between Rafferty and Hine here. Two absolute classes in the field always, so we're going to have to see what it is. Obviously, as we've said before, you do get lane choice here, and it looks like that Rafferty is going to choose that inside line. I think that's going to be potentially the preferred line. It's the fastest way around on paper, but it's not always in practicality, so we'll have to see what happens.
Leader, of course, does have lane choice, and the field goes on the leader, not when the pace truck leaves the surface. So we'll see if Bob Rafferty decides to change his mind. He will not. So you did mention, DJ, that, well, John Hine and Bob Rafferty will be battling. They did finish 3rd and 4th last week at Eldora. So if that's something to look ahead for tonight, or going into tonight, I wonder really what the preferred lane here would be for each of those drivers.
I have to think, starting off, my gut instinct says the outside lane is actually going to be preferred, because trying to dive up the inside is just a one-way ticket to get into an accident. But obviously, there's a reason why Bobby Rafferty is a multiple winner in this series, and so I'm going to defer to his judgment of starting on the inside.
Pace truck gets ready to pull off, and it does. Bobby Rafferty will bring the field to the green flag here at Weedsport Speedway, the first heat race and the first league session here of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. A great start by Bobby Rafferty. John Hine directly behind him. Everyone else trying to single file themselves out, although a bit of a battle between Sharp and Belke. They both nearly made contact. Great race, a great first lap, I should say, so far.
Everybody keeping it nice and clean as we come across the line there. Really, Bobby Rafferty showing us how to make that inside line work, just keeping it nice, cool, calm, and collective, and starting to pull out a gap from John Hine.
These heat races will be going by very, very quickly, as in the back it's going to be Belke trying to fend off Steve Rada, but in the meantime, John Hine is still just following the tire tracks, and we see that notification in the top right-hand side of your screen. Fastest lap goes to Bobby Rafferty. That will be a key thing to look out for going into tonight's event. 3 laps complete, 3 laps to go, and that gap is still slowly but surely expanding between Rafferty and Hine.
Yeah, it looks like John Hine is just trying to figure out where to go on this track. Obviously, just trying to find maybe where the passing maneuvers are. It looks like he's just taking his time, being smart about it, thinking it out, not trying to do anything super aggressive here. As we're going to go on board with Hine here, you can see him, and you can really see from this angle just how wide that turn 2 and 3 are, and then how much turn 4 can tighten up. You can see there Rafferty really having to struggle to get that car to keep it going, and just how close to that outside wall you have to be diving down into that turn 1, that super close line.
Not any close to the outside wall, but the inside wall. This is the final lap as well. Again, these go by quick, so Rafferty will round turns 3 and 4. John Hine just tries to send it in to no avail. So Rafferty and Hine both advance to the feature. Coming into 3rd place will be Jeff Sharp. He transfers after passing Daniel Vaught in 4th. 5th place is Steve Rada, and 6th place will be Austin Belke. And this is just after, again, the first of 4 heats. And again, everything's going to be key. Points are still being earned. So these heat races will very much be key if you're looking for points in the championship. DJ, I'll send it to you for the starting grid.
Well, starting from the pole position here is going to be Brandon Proudfoot, last week's winner, followed by him, J.R. Shepard. Behind them will be Kenny Kibbe and Bobby Hayes, and then that is Bobby Sauls, I believe, coming up, or Brandon Sauls, excuse me, coming up on the outside.
That indeed is Brandon Sauls in the final spot here in that number 76 machine. And, well, if I was J.R. Shepard, I'd be maybe a little bit nervous, especially considering, well, he finished, in at least comparison to Brendan Proudfoot, 7th last week at Eldora. So Shepard, I think, is definitely at least keeping a few notes and tabs on that number 22.
I think that's right. And I think if you're starting in positions 2, 3, or 4 tonight and you're really looking at it, if you recognize that P1 is just pulling away, the name of the game tonight is going to be learning. It's going to be figuring out what's fast and where you can make those passes. We saw in that last heat race, there's not a lot of ample room to pass, especially as the track is relatively green. As it starts to rubber in, maybe that top line gets a little bit faster. That may be the way to go. But right now, it's just going to be about learning and listening to the track.
That is definitely something as well, especially watching the, if you're in heat 3 or 4, you're going to be watching where everybody else is running. So that's also going to be something of note, seeing what lines these the drivers start on, given their lane choice. If they're in first, Brandon Proudfoot giving the pace truck a lot of room. So if I was J.R. Shepard, I'd be thinking, okay, he's going to go the moment the pace truck goes off, and we'll see if that is the case. Pace truck pulls off, Brandon Proudfoot slowly accelerates, brings the field to the green flag. Heat race number 2 of 4 is underway, and just like that, first 3 are already single file. Kibbe goes wide in the back, but he does hang on to that 3rd place.
He does, as you can see, multiple lines you can take through there. Kibbe taking a little bit more of a diamond position going through that first 2 corners. Everybody here just running single file, trying to gain some time. Brendan Proudfoot diving that car down on the inside. There's the inside of Kenny Kibbe. You can see just how much, excuse me, that's not Kibbe, that's J.R. Shepard. Just how much he's got to work that wheel coming through these corners, really fighting it this way and that, trying to keep the slide as absolutely perfectly as he can.
If I remember correctly from the last time I drove the Dirt Street Stocks, which was quite a while ago, aside from testing out, taking a few laps here at Weedsport to see how the track and how this car handles, while you do have to put in a significant amount of wheel work, and you have to get incredibly close to that inside wall. So I knew a few times that I got close to the inside wall thinking, okay, maybe that's a bit too close for comfort, and you see how much space everyone is giving to those inside portions as well, because they're not right up against the inside wall.
No, I think there's definitely a little bit of right feeling of terror coming about them, that they will come up and bite you. As you're watching here, you can see up ahead Brandon Proudfoot starting to take a little bit more of an aggressive outside line there, really slowly but surely pushing it out, seeing what he can do. A little bit different than we saw in that first race where everybody was running a tighter line through 1 and 2. So as we talked about, multiple lines seeming to develop, and there Proudfoot decides to make me change my mind and dive down to the inside line.
Not just like that, it is already the white flag on this lap. So Brandon Proudfoot will come around turn number 4. He'll collect the checker flag this time by at the start-finish line. He'll advance to the feature along with J.R. Shepard in second. 3rd place is Kenny Kibbe, where Bobby Hayes and Brandon Sauls will go on to the B main, and they'll see where they get sorted out heading into the B main for tonight. As we go to heat race number 3 of the night, second to last heat race, and it's being started off by Steven Spies and Brennan Myers on the front row. Ron Snyder will start 3rd, John Wilson will be 4th, and Joe Segala will be 5th place. Brennan Myers looking back again just to make sure the points not finished, unfortunately, in the top 10 at Eldora. He actually had was actually not exactly the prior cause of the late race caution. It's more of a half spin just due to a bit too much speed. So usual racing deal, nothing of Brendan Myers' fault. So Myers having a little bit of bad luck. Spies, well, not so much as of last week. This week, well, they're on the front row of heat race number 3.
They are, and it looks like as of this moment that Spies will be choosing to take that inside line, and if I were him, I don't see any reason not to. What'll be interesting to see here is if anybody can break the curse of these past couple of races. Thus far, we have seen everybody finish in the way they started, so hopefully we can see a little bit more action, a little bit more passing as these drivers start to learn this track a little bit more.
I wonder how much of learning the track a little bit more can be, because, well, to be honest, if I was a leader here in one of the heat races, I would think, well, you know what, might as well take the outside lane just to see what happens, because you're going to get in either way, at least in this instance. And well, so far, no one has budged from that inside lane, interestingly enough, and they think they're that most comfortable on the inside lane, and that is no fault to the leaders and their lane choice. So Pace Truck will once again bring it into pit road. Steven Spees waiting for the Pace Truck to go off, and he goes just before that inside wall. Green flag flies. We're seeing a little bit of a pattern here in these starts. Very quickly single file once you start off turn number 4, and as they go down the back straightaway, these positions are already just about sorted.
They are indeed. Speed's getting a good jump, but as you say that, that's Ron Snyder starting to take maybe a little bit of a look on the inside of Brendan Myers, so we may see a little bit of action here indeed as he's starting to close that gap. Gets a little bit squirrely, has to go super wide off the 2, and just like that, that gap has disappeared and everybody falls back into line.
And we see how much the entry to turn 1 matters. Going on to the entry of turn 1, Snyder was just about a car length, 2 car lengths behind Brendan Myers, and just like that, he is pretty much gone. But he has gathered it back up, and he is getting going as quickly as possible as both Wilson and Segal are battling for 4th place in the back. Quick pass by Segal, he moves up to 4th place. And well, keep in mind that you can check out timing and scoring over at GSRC.TV as we are halfway, coming to 2 laps to go. The next time Steven Spees crosses the start-finish line, Brendan Myers and Ron Snyder. Myers actually going a little bit higher than Snyder as well in turn 3 and 4.
He is. Snyder really starting to experiment here, trying to find something out as Steven Spees is going to keep coming around, just driving that car the way he is. The problem with Snyder, though, is he's losing a little bit of time coming off the exit of turn 2, as you see him there, but he's able to gain a lot of time coming off of that final corner there on turn 4. Snyder really doing a good job here. You can see him. Gets time up early in the corner and then loses it as the corner opens up. So he may have to fix that as we go into the A main, but driving a good lap here.
And that good lap is the final lap. Steven Spees will come across in 1st, 2nd place Brendan Myers, 3rd place is Ron Snyder. Segala will start 4th, or finish 4th rather, and John Wilson will finish in 5th. Those two will move on to the B main, but first up we have just one more heat race here on tap for you next. And well, DJ, take it away with your starting grid.
Well, starting in that coveted P1 spot is going to be Joe Morton, followed by Chris Davis. Robbie Robinson behind him, and Tyler File, and then Taylor right behind them. We're going to have to see if these guys can break the curse of finishing in the order that they came. Obviously, the only pass we were able to see in that last race coming in the back of the field.
Keeping in mind that, well, again, leader has lane choice. Justin Morton maybe starting on the inside, just seeing the pattern that we might have, and having a little bit of a run, I think, quite literally, with something on the inside there of the track. I think a bit too close to the inside wall he was, but may have hit just a couple of bumps there. So if that's going to be a thing as well in the race, well, that's going to be something to definitely keep an eye on, something that you don't want to really hit during the actual race. So Morton used to the inside lane, Chris Davis starting up the outside.
It is. That's that traditional thing that we're seeing. I don't know what's going on with John Wilson here as he pulls over to the side. Am I seeing that right? He's got something going on with the car. He's going to try to catch back up, but I'm not sure what's going on with the poor man.
Justin Morton might be having some hardware issues, actually, so it will be Robbie Robinson bringing the field to the green flag this time by. And Robbie Robinson in the 56. Again, brings the field to the green, so he takes over the lead. We'll see how Robinson does and how these 4 drivers fare going into this final heat race. Green flag flies, and it's a great start by Chris Davis on the outside lane. Robinson just barely able to stay to the inside as they make contact through turn 2.
I thought for sure Davis was going to lose it up in the gray there, but he's really able to make that outside lane work for the first time tonight as he starts to pull away a little bit. Tyler File may be taking a look on the inside of Robbie Robinson, but now it's going to be Robinson trying to take a look back on the inside of Davis. Davis being the first one to have the guts to go high and making it work here tonight. So something different, something exciting.
A little bit of a higher lane. It's just slowly but surely moving up the track the further we go throughout the night. And I won't be surprised by the end of the night. Look at how wide Chris Davis goes. Arcs it down, diamonds the corner, goes low on the exit. Great job by Davis. So we'll see how that fares going into the feature, or actually the B main and then the feature event going into tonight. Right now, Davis having a wonderful run so far. Robinson taking the opposite line, going on the inside on corner entry, just slowly catching up. It's about equal between the two off turn 2, coming to 2 laps to go already.
It is, and what's going to be interesting as we get into the B main and the A main here with more cars, seeing who can try to get the power down coming off of that turn 2. As you see Robinson trying it once again, he's going to try to do a little bit of a slider line there, but really try to do that and scare the other guy in front of you. I know if I've been in these cars, there's nothing more terrifying than knowing there's a car coming up your inside, so somebody may get a little jumpy. Good move from Robinson. Don't think he's going to have enough to close here on the last lap, but certainly something to keep an eye on in the A main.
Robinson not having turn 1 fare too well for him. We'll see how everyone else fares going into the B main. But coming off turn number 4, leading the field, Chris Davis will come across and win heat race number 4. Robinson comes home second. Tyler File will finish in the 3rd place position, and 4th place is Kenny Taylor, who will move on into the B main to see where he will get sorted out for the feature event.
He will indeed, and for new time viewers, note that for this B main, we do not reset the track state, so everybody is going to be running on the same thing. We will reset the track state. We'll get those virtual water trucks out there after the B main and run it before the new water session, before the practice session before the A main.
And finally, the starting grid for this B main. It's going to be Daniel Vaught in the 1st place position. Bobby Hayes will start 3rd. Joe Segala 3rd, correction. Bobby Hayes will start 2nd. Joe Segala starts 3rd. 4th place is Kenny Taylor. 5th place will be Steve Rada. Brandon Sauls will be starting 6th. 7th place is John Wilson. It would be Justin Morton starting 8th, but unfortunately he's having a few issues on his side. And Austin Belke will be starting in the 9th place position. And possibly Brendan Sauls, oh, never mind, there he is. I was about to say maybe also having a couple issues of his own, but luckily he is able to get to the grid. Now the million-dollar question, does Daniel Vaught decide to go to the inside, or go to the outside rather, or stay on the inside?
Well, if I'm looking at it, it's a 3 out of 4 chance that the inside's going to work. So if I'm Daniel, I'm going to want to stick to the inside lane. But that's going to put the impetus on Bobby Hayes. I think he's got a chance to really put the power down. You don't want to go too far up into that gray, but it may be worth a shot to really try to get the power and get a pass made on the first lap.
Not only going up too far into the gray, but also giving that person on the inside who was in second, which was originally disadvantage if they start on the outside, now an advantage if you decide to move to the outside and move the second place driver into the inside. So Vaught making it very clear that he's staying on the inside lane. It's going to be a 10-lap B main here. Everybody will go to the feature, and this is just to see where everyone else sorts themselves out.
It will indeed, and the B main always a good indicator to see what is to come as we come around here into turn 3, ready to take the green flag for this B main event.
Pace truck speeds up, pulls off the racetrack back into pit lane, and awaits the feature event as Daniel Vaught in the number 90 brings the field to the green flag as that flies, but it's an even better start for the 13 up on the outside lane. And right when that happens, well, the wide entry for Bobby Hayes unfortunately causes a huge disadvantage. He'll fall back. Joe Segala up to second as everyone else battles out behind them.
That outside lane not working out at all for him there. Really heartbreak for Bobby Hayes as it looks like he may lose another position here to Steve Rada, who's going to take a look up the inside, give him a little bump and rub. That's going to cause a chain reaction back with John Wilson. Everybody sorts themselves out, but Rada gets a bad run out of turn 2. It's going to put him in a compromised position, and here comes Bobby Hayes trying to fight back.
Bobby Hayes trying to fight back on the inside lane, and he'll just be able to do it on the entry to turn number 1 here, but Steve Rada, smoother entry, just hangs on to it. A little bit of a bobble from the 13 of Hayes on the inside, but with that preferred inside lane, he does hang on to it just barely, but very, very close as Rada. He's not giving up that 3rd place position without a fight, and very much obvious with that because he is not letting that go. That higher line was working out for him, maybe a bit too wide for that 3 of Rada, but he will just slot in behind the 13 of Hayes.
He will. It looks like he had a much better line as he's going to go for a nice over-under here. Get the inside line. It's a little squirrely coming off of 4. He's going to be repositioned for the inside line now into 1 and 2. That's going to get him there. I think if he can get the car straightened out perfectly, he's going to have about a nose and a half ahead of Bobby Hayes. That's going to get him the inside line there. Hayes is going to go up into the gray. That's going to give the position to Rada. Hayes trying to work back on the momentum. Not going to make it happen. That is Rada's position.
Keep in mind, this is for third place, as Daniel Vaught and Joe Segala do have a sizable gap between the two, as you see over up on the timing tower, 1.3 seconds. So Segala has settled himself out into that second place position. Meanwhile, well, speaking of settling into positions, Rada looks to have settled himself into third place, as it's huge contact in the outside wall behind. Brendan Stahl's hard hit on the right-hand side. He is able to continue forward, but to what avail? Any suspension damage? Well, let's hope not for that 76.
Yeah, that's going to be really tricky for him, but as we've seen many times, that may actually end up helping him. This is one of the weird quirks of these dirt street stocks. As you see Daniel Vaught there really just putting on a masterclass, going ahead as fast as he can, but jumping back to that battle for P4 and Pier 5. Here comes John Wilson up the inside of Bobby Hayes. He's got the preferred line going through 3 and 4. And it looks like he's going to have that position momentum, not able to help Hayes, and Wilson's going to move himself up to P4.
Currently 2 laps to go, coming to the white flag already. Going back to the number 90 of Daniel Vaught, who had a great start on the inside lane. And this time by, it will be the white flag being shown to the 90. Joe Segala still sitting about 1.4 seconds back with no challenge for this lead. So Daniel Vaught will get the advantage going into the feature, as he'll finish off in the first place position. Coming home second will be Joe Segala, pushing the car as much as he can off turn number 4. Steve Rada will come home in third, John Wilson fourth, Bobby Hayes fifth, Austin Belkey sixth, Brendan Sauls seventh, 8th place Kenny Taylor, and 9th Justin Morton, who was able to get back into the B main event.
You know, I have to say, yes, Daniel Vaught may have gone ahead and won that race, but I think the driver there was the number 3 of Steve Rada, really the first guy we've been able to see put some serious moves out on the track, really able to make the car work on the outside and the inside lanes, so he's going to be one to watch going up through the field. He'll be starting about mid-pack, but certainly one who may be able to move his way forward.
He definitely did make his way forward. Just a reminder as well that those heat races were brought to you by Jim Beaver eSports, the official esports team of Jim Beaver and the General Tire Down and Dirty Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Follow the team at JimBeaverEsports.com or on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to keep up with their drivers in iRacing World Championships, private leagues, and more. As we have 4 minutes remaining, and the track state just continues to very quickly wear down, but I wonder if a few drivers will be working on their entry to turn number 1, because that turn just catches everybody out, I'm sure.
Oh, I think it certainly is, as you see a lot of drivers trying to now also work the high line of turn 1, trying to play with it. We've got that great camera angle. You can see just how close they're getting. As, whoo, boy, oh boy, oh boy. That's Bobby Rafferty taking a little tumble down the main straightaway.
Yeah, we kind of saw that with that past camera angle off turn number 4. Someone going sideways, flipping in the air. I was thinking, I didn't just see that, did I? And then I see the scenic camera, for me at least, pulling off down the front straightaway. And, well, lo and behold, it unfortunately was the 7 of Bobby Rafferty. So, luckily able to get back going. Luckily, it's at least during the warm-up session before the race. So, a little bit of luck, and I guess on turn 4, something to look out for as well. Basically, just the inside walls as well.
Truthfully, I'm amazed that he's the first one that we've seen in this broadcast to clip that turn 4, as we talked about just how quickly it tightens up on you. Very, very difficult. I would not be surprised if we see 1 or 2 guys making a similar mistake during the race itself in the heat of the moment.
And I'm wondering if we could actually get an onboard shot for pretty much anybody who's running practice laps now, because, well, my first reaction, oh, there we go. So we'll go ahead and ride on board A. Well, that's not the best timing at all, unfortunately. A huge mess off turn 4, so we'll go to somebody else, as well, that is still going. But you see how massive the walls are essentially up on the outside lane. That little wall on the inside there is in turn 4, so great onboard shot here. You see just how much work is also being put into the wheel. You see just how close you have to really get into that inside wall just to pretty much keep a hold of it. My thought here, going right up against the wall, is thinking, this wall seems pretty tall. I feel like there's something a bit wrong here. No, that's just how the wall is, of course, here at Weedsport. And it's just a very unique turn 1 track. A little bit wide as well. Great shot here as we continue to ride on board. Joe Segala continues to make his rounds here in the practice session. You see that inside wall in 3, that inside wall in 4. It's a lot to think about here when going around the track.
It is, and you can also see there, and you can see it there as you just see that flurry of cars coming through, just how easy it is to wash up the track into turn 2. So that's something to watch out for. That's going to be a major area of contact zone as we look at that wonderful GSRC tower right there. Brendan Proudfoot, to the surprise of absolutely no one, leading the pack with a sub 18 lap time. Steven Spees right behind him, Chris Davis and Brendan Myers. So not really surprising to see that top 5 up there. Bobby Rafferty only down in 6th place. That's a little surprising from him, but plenty of time to make some corrections here as we have about a minute left here in this session.
A minute left for everyone to get everything sorted out, make sure that they do have the handle of the track correctly, and well, let's just make sure. Well, let's see, what can I do, what can't I do in this feature event? 5 minutes doesn't seem to be a lot, but when you have about 21 cars all running laps at the same time, it's a lot for this track state to definitely take a little bit of a hit and get worn in just a little bit more. So it's a lot to think about. Already 10 laps have been run in by, well, Joe Segala. 11 laps here as Proudfoot just hits the wall, and well, hopefully that's something we won't be seeing during the feature event. And of course, we'd like to just remind you one more time that, well, if you want to see where your favorite driver is, and in case we inadvertently miss anything, well, you can go ahead and keep an eye on them at GSRC.TV, and that is up, and you can see live timing and scoring, and see where your favorite driver is for tonight's event about 13 seconds before we head into the B main. And well, it's just a little bit of a timing screen for you, just to keep an eye on your favorite driver while you also watch the broadcast. As we go into the final 5 seconds, a checkered flag will be shown for a warm-up session. Next thing we know, everybody will be let loose for 40 laps here around Weedsport.
Gary, this is going to be fast. This is going to be fun. This is going to be really, really interesting to see how these guys do. I genuinely think we're going to see guys like Proudfoot and Spees and Rafferty start to pull away from the field, and they're going to have their own little battle, but rest assured this mid-pack battle is going to be just as fierce.
Well, going into tonight, here is your 21 car starting grid going into Weedsport for tonight. Starting up on the front row, it is Bobby Rafferty. Second place, last week's winner, is going to be Brendan Proudfoot. Steven Spees will start in 3rd place. Keep an eye on all 3 of these drivers, but keep an eye on Chris Davis, who starts 4th in the 07 machine, as he's starting to become a challenge for this week as well. John Hine will start 5th. 6th place is J.R. Shepard. 7th place will be Brennan Myers. 8th place will be the 56 of Robbie Robinson. 9th place is going to be Jeff Sharp, and rounding out the top 10 is Kenny Kibbe.
Starting off in 11th is going to be Ron Snyder. Behind him, Tyler File. In 13th, starting position will be Daniel Vaught, followed by Joe Segalo. And our hard charger from the heat races in 15th is going to be Steve Rada. Following them is going to be John Wilson and Bobby Hayes. Austin Belkey in 18th, Brendan Sauls in 19th, Kenny Taylor in 20th, and Justin Morton, who I do believe is on track, is going to be in 21st.
That is correct. Justin Morton is able to get back on track, albeit not in the best position, quite literally, but does have quite ways to make up. The tension and suspense is very much high, and I think Brendan Proudfoot actually might be having a couple issues of his own. And unfortunately, he might be having a couple issues of his own, so this is going to be a huge upset actually going into tonight's event. Brendan Proudfoot having, well, some type of issues, unfortunately, and, well, at the moment, he is not able to race.
That's going to certainly hurt his championship potential here, but as we watch on board, everybody getting ready to go, and Steven Spees is going to be the one who is, Bobby Rafferty being the one who is going to be able to lead this field to the green, choosing that inside lane.
Bobby Rafferty in the number 7 on the front row. Chris Davis in the 07 on the outside row. The pace truck gets ready to pull off into pit road once again, and this is going to be the first race here at Weedsport Speedway in the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. We are green flag racing for 40 laps as they all scramble down into turns 1 and 2, and just like that, a great start by Bobby Rafferty as the 07 of Davis and 55 of Speeds are side by side as everyone else looks for the preferred line going into these first few laps.
Everybody keeping it nice and clean coming through turns 1 and 2. Always good to see is side by side. That's Spees and Davis trying to figure it out. Davis going to be pushed up the outside line on the track. Spees trying to give him a little bit of a slide job, but not enough to make it work. The momentum not able to carry Spees forward, or carry Davis forward. Spees now positions the car right in front of Davis, kind of blocks that corner exit, and he is going to own that P2 position as they dive into turn 1 here on lap 3.
Davis looking for the inside as Spees goes wide in turn number 2. Just able to poke a nose under as Davis comes very close to making contact with the 55 on the inside lane. And look at that move by Davis. Just barely gets that second place position. That was by 3/100ths of a second actually across the start finish line, going to a drag race to second place. Meanwhile, Bobby Rafferty just casually driving away like it's a Sunday drive, as he has nobody to fight with as Davis gets very close to the inside wall. And again, Davis slowly edging out Spees off turn number 4, but while turns 1 and 2, they seem to be just about equal, as actually Davis will now clear going to the back straightaway.
Davis getting a little naughty there, coming down the main straightaway, pushing Spees up into the wall, but Spees able to keep his composure. Spees now the one close to coming to the inside wall. He's going to have a little bit of a line here, but Davis is going to shut that door, forcing Spees to just kind of tuck up on the inside. He's going to have a preferred line here. A little bit of a better run, momentum not helping Davis. Spees back down to the inside, going to try to dive it in, get a little bit of a slide job, position that car where he can. He's not going to have it full out, and Davis's momentum is going to carry him across the line and keep on to second place again.
Of course, keeping in mind this is a battle for the second place position as Rafferty continues to run away with the lead. Now about 2 seconds between himself, Rafferty, and well, both the 07 or the 55 of Spees, whoever is in second place. Although with that corner exit from Spees, unfortunately, it looks to be now Davis cementing as it's the 56 into the inside wall on turn 1. Caution is out, and it's a few drivers caught up in this mess.
Yeah, Robbie Robinson just tagging that outside wall a little bit there and causing a bit of a chain reaction behind him. That's going to bring out our first yellow. It'll bunch the field all together here on lap 8.
Take a look at the replay here coming off turn number 4. Going into turn 1, you'll see the Robinson here goes wide, just turns it in a bit too early. If he waited maybe about 2 more feet, the 19, the 14, the 28 all make contact. Just a few drivers, unfortunately, just getting caught up in that, unfortunately, at the wrong time. Getting turned around there was the 19 of Jeff Sharp, who will actually have an on-board camera with and just nowhere to go for the 19, unfortunately.
Yeah, just carrying way too much speed into that corner, not able to put the brake down and get the car turned nearly enough. That's too much of a slide into that tight turn 1 that we've talked about multiple times tonight. So heavy damage for a lot of guys there. So it looks like the biggest loser they're going to be, I think, Tyler File, who is being counted as in the pits right now. So that looks like his day relatively out. You can see the damage there on Jeff Sharp's machine. I also see some pretty significant damage on Robbie Robinson's car as well.
And there is Brandon Proudfoot able to get back on track, albeit 4 laps down, but he is back. And the caution lights are now out, so it is 1 to green this time by Brandon Proudfoot, going to try and salvage anything and everything that he can for tonight.
He's going to be hoping for another big kaboom like we just saw with the Robinson incident there. As Bobby Rafferty going to choose that inside line, Chris Davis on the outside of him, hoping to eke away some of that advantage that he was able to pull out on that first run.
Practically just like the main start here going into tonight's event, except 29 laps to go here on this restart. Green flag flies again. Great start by Bobby Rafferty. An incredible job. Speeds not able to get in as Davis was just able to stick at least with the outside lane going into this opening lap on that restart. So now it's side by side between Hine and Shepard. It might be now Hine and Spees, depending on how this goes, as Shepard just tries to rotate enough to keep it off the 71 behind. Everybody very quickly single file throughout the top 5.
And credit to the back of the field there, Ron Snyder getting turned around and everybody avoiding him, so no yellow flag being called as we see these cars coming through now, turns 3 and 4. That's John Hine working on the outside, trying to get that momentum to work for him, maybe get into the 3rd place position behind Steven Spees. Not starting to play off. I think he feels like he's running a little bit too high, carrying a little bit too much speed through that corner, and it's actually going to open the door up for J.R. Shepard here to try to make a move down the inside through turns 3 and 4.
I don't know about anybody watching or John Hine himself, but I did have a little bit of a hold your breath moment. The time was so wide that he almost got the outside wall there at the last lap, but he is able to keep it off the wall and hang on to it. However, he might not be able to hang on to that 4th place position for long, with Jared Shepard consistently challenging him on the inside. He does get alongside just barely on the exit of turn number 4, down into turn 1 once again, but it seems to be relatively equal between these two on their respective lines.
Very similar to the fight we saw in the last run between Davis and Spies here. As you see, just Hein running wide, again, trying to get that momentum to work on the top side. The way this track is laid out, running that ultra high line is really the only way to be able to carry any sort of momentum around the corners. It is helping him get away there. He's got just a nose over J.R. Shepard, as now Brennan Meyer's starting to poke his nose in there behind as these two squabble a little bit.
Not only that, but Steven Spies is actually also starting to challenge Chris Davis for 2nd place. Just got in the back bumper on turn 1. Nothing entirely challenging as of yet, although he's just saying, letting Chris Hayes, no, my goodness. Well, just like that, commentator's curse. Unfortunately for Steven Spies, he might be, well, he's not out actually. He is able to get back going. No severe engine damage. Again, these drivers do have one fast pair available, but unfortunately for Steven Spies, a bit too eager, as we'll ride on board with this wild ride. Got too eager on that inside lane, and the wall says no.
Yeah, just putting a little bit too much speed. We'll watch here from an outboard perspective. You can see him here trying to swing down low to try to get a better line on Davis. You can tell as he's about 5 to 10 feet away from that wall, he knows he's going to hit it. You can see him back off and try to correct it, and just a little too late for Steven Spies there.
Spies is in pit road, getting himself a faster pair. Again, these drivers do have one faster pair available to them, so if need be. And well, for Spies, that definitely is very much needed, as well as it looks like the 3 of Steve Rada as well in pit road just off camera. As the lights go out on the pace truck already, Spies grabs his faster pair. He's down and away. And now we all stack them back up one more time here, just at the halfway point of this race, as File gets waved around the pace car. On down the back straightaway, pace truck will be off momentarily.
And Bobby Rafferty once again taking that inside line, as it's been working wonders for him off this restart, able to get the power down just where he needs it. He's going to hope for another good getaway here.
Field in control of the 7 machine of Rafferty. He gets going just like that. Great start, great restart by Bobby Rafferty. Holding on to it so far, as John Hines going to be shoving his way up to the outside, and caution is out for a spin in the back. It's a big mess in the back, actually, in turns 1 and 2. My goodness, we are going to be
it looked like that started back with Robbie Robinson and Daniel Vaught there going into turn 1. I think the two of them just got together a little bit and they started to spin. So we're going to watch the restart here. You see that middle of the pack, Robinson in that very dinged up white car, Vaught in the gold behind him. Yep, just gets a little bit turned sideways there. Vaught carries a little bit too much speed, and that is what we call in motor racing terms a schmozzle.
Well, John Wilson unfortunately getting flipped over, I believe, as well, but just absolutely nowhere to go. It's like an accordion effect, except sideways and significantly worse. So everyone going to be very much taking their time to sort this out. I think Steven Spies was able to avoid it. He was. So luckily, at least on the bright side for him, he is fine. But about the second half of the field, not entirely, as the lights still remain active on the pace truck. We see a couple drivers in the background going to pit road. I do not blame them in any way after what we just witnessed.
No, it looks like that's going to be John Wilson, and I think I saw Austin Belke making the dive down there as well. So those two guys. Now, what this is actually going to do is wave arounds are enabled during this series, so I think that means that Steven Spies is going to get his lap back here potentially. So that has major implications here for this championship if Spies is able to get back on the lead lap and start to move himself forward in the field.
By the looks of it, I believe that might be if it is, if we do get at least one more caution, lights will remain on still. So we'll double check to see where Spies is, if he makes his way around. If he made his way through pit road, Proudfoot actually was caught up in that as well by the looks of that heavy front end damage on that number 22 machine. So not the best night for Proudfoot. He's still at least now 3 laps down in the back.
He is, and as we look up through the field, the one guy I want to draw attention to is the number 9 sitting in 5th place. That's Justin Morton. He is up 16 spots from his starting position, so kudos to Morton there. Brandon Saul's another hard charger, up 10. Both of those guys obviously taking advantage of the carnage in front of them, but able to move up nonetheless.
Being able to move up at some point is going to be enough in the points. We'll see how everything shakes out after tonight as the lights are out on the pace truck. Field in control again of the 7 and 07, becoming very familiar numbers here at the front of the field. The 07 of Davis able to hang on to the outside lane. Unfortunately, he's just not able to get by the 7 of Bobby Rafferty. As Shepard all over the back bumper already. Rafferty brings the field to the green flag, goes a bit later as well. He'll go, and great job, actually, great restart as the 7, or the 07 rather, Chris Davis just tries to get by, tries to clear John Hine, who peeks his way to the inside off turn 2.
And it looks like in the back there, Brendan Myers got a little bit squirrely, and he got into the back of a couple of cars, and that's going to bring out another yellow flag here. Unfortunately, not able to get this epic duel underway between Rafferty, Davis, Hines, and Shepard. But, yeah.
Joe Segala having not the best time as we will take another look here off turn number 2 going through the restart. Looks like 25 of Myers had overcorrected, and we'll see that here. Going into turns 3 and 4, keep an eye on that 25 and that gray and orange, and just barely tagged, and just like that, it is caution out once again. But Steven Spees in the background actually had braked so hard that he did make contact with the inside wall, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I wouldn't be surprised if he did have damage or after making contact with the inside wall.
As we're going to jump and take a look here, it does look like there's a little bit of damage on the front of that street stock. I don't see any smoke coming off the back, so it doesn't look like that's going to be an absolute terminal damage, but yeah, definitely a little bit of a ding or two there. But I misspoke last time. Spees was actually not in position for that Lucky Dog wave around. He is now, as he is the first car a lap down, so he will get the wave around. He'll be put at the back of the field, but he will get his lap back here.
It seems that will be so. In fact, actually, looking at it from a different angle over here, it actually looks like Steven Spees made contact with the 90 of Daniel Vaught, who tried to get back going initially. Unfortunately, both of them just came to a literal crossroads, made a bit of a bump. Nothing too major by the looks of it, though, on the front nose of that 55 machine, so everything should be a-okay to get back going. It's going to be 10 laps to go with Bobby Rafferty in control of the field again on this restart. He's been great on these restarts as well, DJ.
He really has. Davis has just had absolutely nothing for him, but John Hine and J.R. Shepard each and every time starting to claw back a little bit more on that 07, so we'll have to see if they're able to do anything like that again on this restart.
Justin Morton lurking back in the 5th place position. If anything does happen, green flag flies once again as Bobby Rafferty lets it loose. Chris Davis behind as well. John Hines sorts himself out into that 3rd place position as it's going to be side by side between Jared Shepard and Justin Morton for 4th place.
As they're making the battle interesting as the rest of the field gets through turn 1 successfully, so we are back under a full lap of green flag racing here. Shepard trying to keep that momentum up on the outside there of Justin Morton, and it looks like he's going to have it, but Morton having the preferred position, and Davis getting sideways and causing a kerfluffle there. Everybody getting into each other, and another yellow flag being called out here tonight at Weedsport.
Oh, Justin Morton tried to get back going. Kenny Kibbe tried to follow, and they hit the inside wall over at the access road. Morton's car is smoking now, and well, unfortunately, just after that, just wrong place, wrong time. Keep an eye on the 9 here as he tries to get it back going as quickly as possible. Kibbe tries to follow, and you see just how much Morton is trying to get back going, and there's Kibbe, and it's just huge front end damage, unfortunately, for that 9.
Oh, that's a heartbreak for both of those cars. It looked like coming through that corner there, the 07, Chris Davis just got a little bit sideways. I think he could have recovered it, but maybe a little bit of contact there between him and John Hine, and that just caused the ultimate turnaround there. So, bit of a break there for John Hine and J.R. Shepard, but a heartbreak tonight for Chris Davis.
Keep in mind, Chris Davis is just trapped behind the pace truck. He is not in the lead. He is actually being scored right now in the 14th place position Again, not the leader, of course, so Steven Spees, actually, we see, will get the wave around. He'll get back on the lead lap this time. He'll join Chris Davis being back on the lead lap once they get back going. So Davis will get waved around the pace truck with 1 lap to go under green, but unfortunately for Davis, in terms of positioning, his night seems to be pretty much over with. As we get that 1 to go signal, Davis is led around.
Davis is led around, and now John Hine, the one who's going to have to try to take this race away from Bobby Rafferty on the outside after Chris Davis didn't have any luck of it. We're going to only have about 5 laps to go here at this green flag, so this is going to be an absolute shootout to the finish.
Tensions rising, and Bobby Rafferty hopefully at least keeping a calm and collected mind here on this final restart. He'll wait, he'll actually stack up the field, and I believe actually we got the caution once again. Not sure as to the reason why, but I'll go around one more time, possibly wait for the pace truck as well to get back out on track. Not sure as of yet. So lights again are active. Pace truck is rolling now, as they'll go back out on the racetrack and pick up the field.
I'm not entirely sure at all what the cause of that was. I didn't see any major contact. The only thing I did see was Tyler File getting a little wide there coming up out of turn 4. Maybe that tripped something, but I don't think that's a system.
Everyone's going to be waiting for the pace truck to go by, as apparently, well, whenever it was called, it was not thrown by race control, it was thrown by iRacing, so everyone's going to have to let the pace truck by due to the positioning of where it was to avoid getting a penalty of passing the pace truck. So everyone has let the pace truck by. We'll get back going. Lights should be off this time by, so instead we might be getting a 3-lap shootout instead of a 5-lap shootout.
Well, BRL just trying to raise the stakes on us a little bit here, and I have to say I like the pressure cooker it's going to put it in. This is really going to put impetus on John Hine to try to make a gutsy move around that outside.
Now Bobby Rafferty going to, do the same thing as he's done before, not only on the main start, but every single restart that he has been dealt with going into tonight's event, is just keep it calm, keep it steady, and get going as soon as possible. We're going to be sticking with the pace truck this time. 30 miles an hour, already banging doors actually between John Hine and Bobby Rafferty as Rafferty gets going, nearly gets turned in front of the field, but he does keep it under control. As green flag flies, Rafferty cements himself in the lead for now.
Everybody looking like they're going to get through relatively cleanly through turn 1. As you see here, everybody sliding out, trying to get a good line. That's John Hine looking for anything on the race leader, Bobby Rafferty, and JR Shepard to lining in right behind him.
Shepard lurking behind both front 2 runners if anything that does happen. Tyler Fowler, Robbie Robinson running 4th and 5th. They're trying to sort things out between themselves. And this time by, as we come to the white flag, John Hine sends it into turn number 3, trying to get anything possible for himself, but Rafferty takes the white flag. Final lap this time by, and right now it is all that number 7 machine with seemingly no challenge between himself and John Hine. Hine and Shepard will battle for second place, but it's clear that's Bobby Rafferty coming to the checkered flag. He leads every lap here at Weedsport and wins the 2nd race of the season and cements himself in the point standings, with John Hine coming home 2nd, JR Shepard coming home 3rd, Tyler Fowle 4th, Robbie Robinson in 5th.
I thought there for a second that JR Shepard was going to have a mega run there coming off of that 4th turn, but John Hine able to just shut the door enough to be able to close it down on him. Really, really good run there from him, and also an amazing run from Tyler File, who was back in the pits at one point, if you remember, on around lap 9 to finish 4th.
Great run by everybody, and well, heartbreak for some, and we'll take a look at that here momentarily. We're going to take a quick break here, but we'll be back with your post-race interviews and unofficial results. I'll update you with the top 5 in points, and we'll give you post-race interviews with the top 3. Don't go anywhere. You'll see some upcoming races on your screen here on GSRC. Welcome back to Weedsport Speedway here, the GSRC post-race show of the second round of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. What a wild event this was, and well, we have a little bit of a summary for you here. Bobby Rafferty comes home in first after leading practically every single lap here in tonight's race. John Hine comes home second, J.R. Shepard third, Tyler File having a great run will finish in the fourth place position. Robbie Robinson finishes in the top five, with Jeff Sharp finishing sixth. Seventh place, Ron Snyder. Eighth place is Joe Segala. Brendan Myers finished in ninth place, and Bobby Hayes finished in 10th.
Coming home in 11th place is going to be Chris Davis, who was up in second for most of that race and obviously got involved in that contact. Following him, Steven Spees fighting his way back up from that early contact with the fourth turn wall. Coming behind them, Daniel Vaught, John Wilson, and Brandon Sauls, Kenny Kibbe, Stephen Rada, Justin Morton, Austin Belkey, and Brendan Proudfoot able to finally get a little bit back there, coming in that last position.
Of course, finishing 21st, unfortunately, was Kenny Taylor, not able to race. But now we have an interview up next with, well, the one and the only number 7 machine here in the Dirt Street Stock Series, and that is the Bobby Rafferty in 7th place. Bobby, you finished 3rd place last week at Eldora, and then tonight everything just seemed to go in your favor.
Yeah, actually, I wish I had finished in 3rd last week. Brandon, me and him were trading slide jobs, and he smacked the wall, and I'm not going to just, drive through anybody, but especially not a teammate, so I had to check up, and we ended up kind of single file there, ended up 4th, but yeah, I mean, pretty cool to have our first league race here with the Street Stocks in my home state. I'm only about, I don't know, maybe about 2.5, 3 hours south of where Weedsport is, so this one was pretty cool for me.
Essentially a home win for you, and everything just, again, went in your favor. It was a great race coming into tonight, and, well, again, well, what were your thoughts going into this track at first? The first few laps that you drove here, especially with Turn 1 being, well, how Turn 1 was designed with Turn 2.
I love this place because, this place separates the men from the boys. It's not one of these, flat out, just put the right rear up on the fence and hold it wide open. This place actually takes some thought to get around and get around quickly. Between the up on top going into one, you have a massive crater there that's always been there that can really upset the car. And then if you're going to run low, you have to really think about, okay, what's my angle entering in the corner? You really have to slow down the car so you can make that, make the car rotate and then drive straight off the bottom. This is probably, I would say honestly, at this point, this is the most driver-based track in the service.
And at the moment as well, after this event, you have very clearly took over the first place position in the point standing. So with you being defending champion of last season, your thoughts heading into at least, well, Knoxville for next week?
Not Knoxville. Past couple of seasons, I've been very close to getting a win there. I was beat by Tyler Jackson there. I believe it was 2 seasons ago by thousandths of a second. Me and John had one heck of a battle there last season, so I want to try to get that W back at Knoxville. It's one of my favorite tracks, but talking about going into this season, you got a group of guys in here between I could list off names, John Hine, Brandon Proudfoot, Steven Spees, Chris Davies. I'm super, super happy for him. I mean, unfortunately, I don't know what happened to him tonight, but he was running really, really, really well. JR is coming around. He is a threat to win every week. We've got so many guys in this league right now. You have to have a perfect night like I did tonight, and you have to carry that through the season. So it's going to be a lot of luck if you're going to win this championship for anybody, not just saying for me, but anybody. You have to have a perfect season.
That perfect season will be key going into the next few weeks. Before we go ahead and let you go, anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to or thank for your race win here tonight?
Absolutely. Of course, first I've got to thank our two title sponsors, the Cruise Shop, as always, for their continued support for, this league and everything they do for us. I've also got to thank my team, Jim Beaver eSports, for jumping on board, and all of our sponsors, General Tire, Polaris Razor, Vision Wheel, GSP XTV Axles, who are the two title sponsors on my car. I can't thank them enough. Rigid Industries, Dirtfish, Gibson Performance Exhaust, Acronis, Chris Leone in the Motorsports Drop, Matt Everhart with '07 Designs, Sans Racing Fabrication, and I also want to give a special shout out to my buddy Matt LaVenture with Stone River Outfitters. He sponsors our Champions race every year. Hopefully, we'll be seeing him back in the league here shortly. I think he's starting to get the itch to come back, so he'll be another one that we'll have to contend with. And the last little thing is my little 5-year-old daughter Kayla is going to be going to her first soccer game tomorrow morning, so just want to wish her luck, and Daddy's proud of you.
I'm going to go ahead and let you go. And well, thanks for your time as well, and congratulations on your first race win for this season.
Thank you very much, Gary, and we will see you guys tomorrow and then next week, of course. Have a good night, guys.
That is the defending champion and tonight's race winner, Bobby Rafferty. Next up, we have DJ Clark standing by with John Hine.
John, it looked like nobody had anything for Bobby out there today, but you drove one heck of a race to put the car and bring it home P2. How was it out there? John?
Oh, sorry about that. I forgot to hit the button.
You're all good. How was the drive, man?
It was fine. It was slick track, kind of narrow groove. I think the outside could have been there. I just needed more green flag laps to kind of get the momentum up to do anything with Bobby at the end after that last caution, and he he got a good start there, and then it became an issue of, do I want to fight with him and maybe give up second or protect second, and I just went ahead and protected second at that point.
Well, I mean, if that was your strategy, I'd say it worked out for you pretty well. How do you like the new design here at Mosport? This obviously has been one of the new tracks in the service.
Oh, I love this track. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Like I said, it was unfortunate we had some cautions there towards the end. Evidently there's a small glitch in it, because I don't know why the pace truck was going really slow, and I think it kind of tripped itself to reset to bypass a yellow there, and I think you'll see more side-by-side racing. I think this is everybody's first time there, but when we come back, everybody will know what to kind of expect, and if it's a cleaner race where we can get some green laps, and I do believe that you'll see guys on the top and the bottom there, because you just got to get the momentum, and it's hard to do that in a 2-lap shootout.
No, I understand that, and thank you for clarifying. We were a little curious as to what that was. So Knoxville is the next one up on the calendar. How you liking it?
Man, I love Knoxville. Yeah, it's nice, fast, wide. The driver has options there. The last couple of times I've done dirt street stocks there, it's been like a Talladega style, 3 wide, 4 or 5 rows deep. I mean, it's I tell you, I think next week is going to be one of the better shows. So everybody come back next week, and my guess is you're going to see a pretty good show.
Well, John, that may be the most ringing endorsement we've had in a long time, so thank you. Anybody you need to thank before we let you go tonight?
Yeah, I've had a fantastic week. I've got a couple of wins with a sprint and a late model, and I've got these new wraps on the car, and I keep saying it's got to be these wraps, because since I put these new wraps on the car, I swear to God, I've gotten a 10th quicker. So I want to thank Preston over at Epsilon Sprint Wraps. You can find them on Facebook. Go check them out. You might find a 10th too. They look good. And then I also want to thank Brenna over at the Cruise Shop. 2021, the summer, things are real cheap. It looks like we probably have a vaccine. You can start making your summer plans now. So go check her out at thecruiseshopfw.com. I'd also like to thank my wife, and thank you guys for putting on the show. Thank Lowell for the series, and most of all the people tuning in. Thank you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show and come back next week.
Thank you, John. We appreciate it. And now, Gary, I think you've got the final interview of the night.
Yeah, here with the one and only J.R. Shepherd, who is very slowly but surely just creeping his way up throughout the standings once again, as he usually does. While coming into tonight, JR, you were 7th in points. Now you're 3rd place after tonight. And, well, just your thoughts on tonight, pretty much.
Yeah. First time running at this track. So, yeah, I haven't ran a practice or anything until an hour before the race. So this is a pretty cool track. I really enjoyed it, and really glad that it's one of those tracks that, you're not just stepping on the loud pedal. You have to drive it. You have to have steering input. You have to have throttle and brake control, and it's one of those tracks that I enjoy racing for sure. So it was really nice to see that tonight, and yeah, just pretty excited to be able to bring it home in 3rd place.
And well, with tonight's performance going into next week at Knoxville, what are your thoughts, especially with the fact that you're again slowly making your way up through the point standings?
Yeah, the points are going to be extremely tough to get this year. There's a lot of guys that are just extremely fast, so I'm still trying to learn and pick up on little things each week, and just learn how to drive the correct line at these tracks. But next week at Knoxville, it's like John said, it's going to put on a really good show. I hope that it ends up slicking off. I really enjoy running the bottom when it's slick, but we'll just have to see what kind of track conditions we have and try to adapt to what's thrown at us.
And before we go ahead and let you go and adapt to everything that you find appropriate, well, who would you like to give a shout out to and thank for your 3rd place finish here tonight?
Yeah, I gotta give a big shout out to our 2 partners, the Cruise Shop, and for Jim Beaver eSports for coming on board and helping out with the dirt on Friday nights. Great partners like that are why the Bootleg Racing League gets to do what we get to on Friday and Saturday nights, and we get to have great broadcasts from GSRC because of it. So really appreciate everything they do, and look forward to the rest of the season.
And we look forward to hopefully talking to you next week as well. Thanks for your time. And, well, good luck in next week.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
At next week, rather. But in the meantime, well, everyone has given thanks of their own. But before we do that, well, DJ, your final thoughts on after tonight's race here at Weedsport.
Well, my final thoughts are that, it's a new track, but I think I echoed the sentiments of most of the drivers. This is one of my favorites. And when we come back next week on Friday, it's going to be a wildly different race. Knoxville is going to be flat out. It's going to be wide. It is going to be an absolute insanity of speed. So it's definitely one you're going to want to see.
And hopefully, well, as per usual, I'm pretty sure they will be putting on a very impressive show. And, well, since everyone's given thanks for their own, we'll give thanks once again to the sponsor of tonight's heat races, Jim Beaver eSports, where, well, they're brought to you by Jim Beaver eSports, the official eSports team of Jim Beaver and the General Tire Down and Dirty Show, powered by Polaris Razor. You can follow the team at jimbeaveresports.com or on Facebook, Twitter, or even Instagram to keep up with their drivers in iRacing World Championships, private leagues, and more. We'd also like to give our thanks to the Cruise Shop, which has been in operation since 1986. They're a team of highly experienced travel agents that have a huge passion for travel. They specialize in cruises, all-inclusive resorts, escorted tours, Disney and family travel, groups, honeymoons, and weddings. They love the opportunity to help you plan your next vacation. You can give them a call today at 260-755-6125 or visit thecruiseshopfw.com. They are dedicated to fulfilling their clients' dreams, one destination at a time. Thanks to the Bootleg Racing League as well for having us continue the coverage of their league, as well as this league, in particular the Dirt Street Stock Series. You can also see the companies that provide the software and hardware that allow us to do these broadcasts listed here on your screen. Additional thanks goes to June Lalonde, who provides our incredible music. If you're interested in having her provide some of her great work to you, you can contact her at the link in the description below or on screen. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races that aren't currently going by on your screen, you can find it at Global SimRacing Channel.com or you can check out our social media at, well, Twitter, for starters, of course, at GSR Channel. Facebook is Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. And finally, if you'd like to support the channel, go check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. That is gsrc.storenvy.com, or you can click the link in the description below. If on YouTube you see a big bright red subscribe button that says subscribe, well, click on it and make that gray, and then click the notification bell and set your preference to all so you don't miss a moment here on the Global SimRacing Channel. And the button is already gray. Well, we're glad you're enjoying our content, and we thank you for your continued support. For the team today, first off, starting with co-commentator DJ Clark, director Sean Ambrose, and our camera provider Dougie Beard, I'm Gary Weaver, and we thank you for tuning in to the second race of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. As we sign off from Weedsport Speedway, we hope to see you next time. Race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.